Imagine this. You're stranded in the most remote place on Earth. The temperature is -40 degrees. Your ship has been crushed by ice. Rescue is impossible, and you have 27 lives depending on you. What would you do? This is the story of Ernest Shackleton and the crew of the Endurance, a tale of survival so incredible it defies belief. But here's the question. Could you have survived what they did? In 1914, the world was on the brink of war, but Ernest Shackleton had a different mission. His goal, to cross Antarctica via the South Pole, a feat never before accomplished. But who was the man behind this daring expedition? Ernest Henry Shackleton was born on the 15th of February, 1874, in County Kildare, Ireland. His father, Henry Shackleton, was a doctor, and his mother, Henrietta Letitia Sophia Gavin, came from a family of landowners. Young Ernest grew up in a world of books and adventure, dreaming of faraway places. At the age of 13, Shackleton was sent to Dulwich College in London, where he excelled in reading and storytelling but struggled with traditional academics. He was a dreamer, always yearning for something greater. At 16, Shackleton left school to join the Merchant Navy. It was here that he found his calling, the sea. He traveled the world, honing his skills as a sailor and leader. In 1904, Shackleton married Emily Dorman, a woman of grace and strength who shared his love for adventure. They met through mutual friends in London, and their bond was instant. Together, they had 3 children, Raymond, Cecily, and Edward. Emily was Shackleton's anchor, supporting him through every triumph and trial. But Shackleton's heart belonged to the unknown. In 1914, he set his sights on Antarctica, a continent shrouded in mystery and danger. His goal, to cross it via the South Pole, a feat never before accomplished. Sail on the Endurance. Among them was Frank Wild, his trusted second-in-command, Frank Worsley, the skilled navigator, and Tom Crean, a seasoned explorer with a heart of steel. But even the strongest team has its limits. As the Endurance entered the Weddell Sea, the ice began to close in. What would you do if your dream turned into a nightmare? By January 1915, the Endurance was trapped. The ice held the ship in a vice-like grip, and there was no escape. But here's the question. How long could you survive in -40 degrees, with no hope of rescue? Shackleton knew the stakes. He told his men, "We must endure. We must survive." But could even the strongest willpower overcome the Antarctic's fury? On the 21st of November 1915, the Endurance was crushed. The crew watched as their ship disappeared beneath the frozen waves. What would you do if everything you relied on was gone? Stranded on the ice, with no ship and no hope of rescue, Shackleton and his men faced their greatest challenge yet. But here's the thing. The worst was still to come. Ernest Shackleton was a man with a dream. His goal, to cross Antarctica via the South Pole, a feat never before accomplished. But here's the thing. Dreams don't always go as planned. What would you risk for your dream? With their ship gone, Shackleton and his men were left with nothing but the clothes on their backs, 3 lifeboats, and their will to survive. But could they make it to land? For months, they drifted on the ice, hoping it would carry them to safety. But the Antarctic was relentless. Temperatures plummeted. Food ran low, and the ice beneath their feet began to crack. Shackleton knew they couldn't stay. In April 1916, he made a decision that would define the expedition. They would take to the lifeboats and make for land. But here's the question. Would they even survive the journey? For 7 grueling days, they battled the elements, freezing water, towering waves, and exhaustion. Finally, they reached Elephant Island. But their ordeal was far from over. Elephant Island was uninhabited and far from shipping routes. If they were to survive, Shackleton would have to do the impossible. But could he pull it off? "We cannot wait for rescue. I will take a small team and go for help. The rest of you must hold on. "I will return," says Shackleton. It was a desperate plan. But for Shackleton, it was the only way. But here's the question. Could they even make it across the most dangerous ocean on Earth? For 16 days, Shackleton and his men battled the Southern Ocean, one of the most treacherous stretches of water on Earth. But could they survive waves the size of mountains and freezing temperatures? Every moment was a fight for survival. Every wave, a test of their will. But Shackleton's words echoed in their minds. We must endure. After 16 days of hell, they reached South Georgia. But the whaling station was on the other side of the island, a journey across uncharted mountainous terrain. Could they make it? For 36 hours, they pushed themselves to the limit. And finally, they reached the whaling station. But could Shackleton save the men he left behind? Against all odds, Shackleton had made it. But his mission wasn't complete. He still had to save the 22 men left on Elephant Island. Shackleton says, "My men are stranded. I need a ship." The whaling station manager was stunned. Shackleton and his men were presumed dead. But now here they were, alive and desperate to save their crew. But the Antarctic wasn't done testing Shackleton. Thick pack ice blocked their path, forcing them to turn back. Undeterred, Shackleton traveled to the Falkland Islands, where he pleaded for help from the British authorities. But even they couldn't break through the ice. Twice, Shackleton had tried to reach his men. Twice, he had failed. But he refused to give up. Finally, Shackleton found a ship that could brave the ice. With Captain Pardo at the helm, they set sail for Elephant Island one last time. Shackleton's journey wasn't over. He still had to save the 22 men left on Elephant Island. But the Antarctic wasn't done testing him. Could he break through the ice and reach his men? 3 times, Shackleton tried to reach Elephant Island. 3 times, the ice turned him back. But he refused to give up. What would you have done in his place? On the 30th of August, 1916, Shackleton finally reached Elephant Island. And there, waiting for him, were his men, alive. But here's the question. Could you have led your team to survival like Shackleton did? Against all odds, every single man had survived. It was a miracle and a testament to Shackleton's leadership. Shackleton's story is more than a tale of survival. It's a lesson in courage, resilience, and the power of the human spirit. But here's the final question. What would you do if you faced impossible odds? This is the spirit of survival. This is the spirit of dare to live.